In a world where technology evolves with lightning speed, staying up to date can feel like chasing a moving target. That's why I've invited top tech experts to share the latest trends and insights with us. Welcome to Tech Talks. AI have the power to revolutionize the way we work. Are we embracing the moment, or are we still treating technology as it should fit the old ways of working? Welcome to Tech Talks. Børge, you have coined a term around this. What is it?
Augmented Humanity. So I just coined it when I started thinking about this session. It just came up quite intuitively because I started thinking of, okay, what is actually AI and technology starting to do for me now? And it spurred the thought that, well, it enables me better to think, to be creative. It enables teamwork in a different kind of way. So I had now experiences actually working also with tech teams, having a small team with global reach, having real-time feedback from our users. It has been a great experience. And then I thought back to the early starts of humanity. Okay, how did we actually start? How did we survive? That was collaboration in small teams, small communities, learning as we are going, being present in the ever-changing environment and threats in the surrounding areas. It's the things that are actually have moved also our evolution. So now it actually feels like we are looping back into our natural ways of working, but augmented.
But if we look at all the legacy systems that the modern business of today is still using, that was not built around getting most out of the humans?
No. So I would say that they were built to ensure control from a few set of, say, people. And it was built to get information only upwards. So it's based on a very skewed, say, perspective. So if you see kind of when or where modern technology comes from, and you go back to time of Taylor and T. Ford and the conveyor bands and these kind of things. Also, it's one of the mantras was, okay, the working man should be no smarter than an ox. So that means you had someone that thought and someone that only should be doing. And that's really actually about you reduce humans to being something less than they are and try to make them more, or make us more as machines. But luckily, this is kind of releasing now.
Okay, so when we design these new technology solutions, how should we design them so we as humans don't become slaves to the machines?
Oh, that's a big one. It's twofold. So one, we are now slave of the machines in a way. If you look at how social media works, so the currency is our attention, and it's really dragging us in. So I would say that's kind of the downside of it. I just saw The Matrix with my kids. Again, haven't seen it for a long time. And Agent Smith at a point there said something like this: when you did the thinking, you were in control. When we do the thinking, being a machine, we are in control. So that was the way he said that, okay, the machines were taking over. And then I got a little like, shit, this is starting to happen. But
it's such an amazing film as well, though. Sorry,
it was great again to
But did your kids like it?
They did, not as much as I did, but they liked it.
Perfect. No, but I think that brings us forward as well, because looking at sort of the opportunities that we now have with generative AI, is that making humans be their best versions of themselves?
I would also say yes and no to this question. In preparing for this session, we wrote a little bit back and forward, and I shared some thoughts, and then I got an email back that it was like stunningly written and very to the point. I was like, oh, that was great. And then I said, hey, wait a minute. Was there AI involved? So I wrote this little feedback back. Is this involved? It might be one is a huge compliment, but also it might not be such a compliment. But it was AI helped. So it distinguishes a little bit of kind of, okay, what's making us as humans better versus what is AI. But it helps the outputs or outcomes to be better when it comes to the products. But if you also think differently on how technology is helping us to become better and collaborating, AI can really help us, give us the information we need when we need it, so we actually are able to be much more responsive to what we are doing. So it's also making it easier to say track the outcomes that we are producing real time.
But if you look at sort of the history, you mentioned the assembly lines and the T-Ford, and if we look sort of all the way up to now, where we've seen more and more use of technology, there has been a lot of movement along the way.
So one of the perspectives I like and I enjoy looking at them as well is that if you see the say first leap then into lean that really took the world. The Western world was more like, it's really about how you reduce waste. There was even books written that what's the real secret behind it. This is not something that can be copied and try to be hidden a bit. But that was part of the human perspective of it. So if you think what lean actually did, it invited employees to come in and take part in improvement work. It also implied that people could get to take responsibility and ownership from their areas of work. They could stop the assembly line, and they were responsible to fix it.
Okay, so it empowered the workers.
It really empowered the work. Also, this was quite similar to the ways we also worked in the factories in Norway in the 70s, and lots of cool stuff written by Thorsrud and stuff on it. So we took part actually in this, but it's not that known. But if you look at the difference from just doing what you're told, being not smarter than an ox, to being invited in to actually improve. So that was a big leap. If you move forward 20, 30 years, and when the agile kind of, or the first part of the agile revolution started, if you think of it, that started this invitation of teams and humans that were not only the leaders, they were invited to actually now start starting working for the future. So it's kind of upstream creativity versus lean is more kind of, say, downstream involvement. And if you also think of it, the complexity of being creative and creating new products and kind of being on with your customers in a different way, it requires so much more from us as humans. So to be able to be, say, engaged, motivated to create something that doesn't exist anymore, you have to put a lot of energy into it. And then, of course, okay, which are the teams that then succeed? That's the teams that are really motivated. Motivated teams, they have conditions to be as a team. They cannot kind of be whipped into this.
Okay, so from the assembly line to lean to agile to augmented humanity?
To augmented humanity. So that's at least one kind of path to it.
But then again, our businesses, CEOs, CFOs, boards, are they ready for this?
At least in Norway, there's a lot of, say, experienced boards, and there's a lot of, say, board runners around, and there is some kind of common critique that the Norwegian boards are lagging behind a little bit, but still only, say, the economical kind of function, and you have the board meetings, and you have the board rooms, and you have this kind of typically a man that sits and... So that legacy, it's still a bit there. So I would say definitely it's important that the boards are aligned. And also if you think of the needs for the boards now, they need to also be very strategic. You need to have people in the board that's able to look, say, far ahead in the future, pick up different signals, bringing into the table. So that kind of, say, call it knowledge or way of working, is really important. And I'm not going to kind of critique all boards.
No, some of them are
something.
Yeah, some of them are. Really,
and then if you have traditional boards, you also have quite often traditional top management. So you have this kind of legacy, and I think it's really important that if you recognize this might be yourself, it start to kind of let a light bulb go up. But if you look different on, say, born tech company, of course, the thinking is different. But really cool thing though, if you also look across the public sector in Norway now, with a lot of focus on product teams. So there's so much innovation that's happening and so much knowledge sharing. Also just watching on LinkedIn and kind of how you collaborate across the different kind of public organizations. So there's a big kind of also wave of engagement with, say, IT-driven transformation in the public sector.
Yeah, definitely a big movement. But then if we look sort of a few years ahead, because obviously now we have generative AI, yes. The next generations of AI will have the power to really revolutionize the way we work together. How is that?
So I think now, right? So we are just at the start of AI, and everyone's playing around with generative AI, and we are playing with pictures and creating movies and stuff. But the next generation is actually, okay, when can AI now start making decisions? And the working title for this is Capable AI, which is part of the next generation AI. So that means you can start to have AI that's experts in a field. So when the AI is now turning expert, then I think that's one of the keys to unlocking, say, the unleashed of the AI within organizations in Norway and across organizations. Reason I say this is that I had this question a long time. Why are we not really kind of, letting the AI unleash itself based on the data in organizations? And then, of course, the answer has been, yeah, it's about privacy, it's about GDPR. But I've had encounters now, by random, of course, but from persons in leadership positions from these firms that are now building data parks, data centers, building cloud. So we are now getting, or we actually have Norwegian cloud. So now kind of, okay, what does that mean here in Norway? So now we have cloud on our ground. In my mind, that means, okay, that should be starting to solve some of these kind of things. And if you also think that the AI, call it the engines or kind of, they're there. So they just need the data or the access to use this data to start learning. So I have this huge question. I've been asking a lot of tech experts. Okay, but why don't we really see this in full blossom in the organizations now? And some of the answers I'm getting, I'm just digging because I really don't know. So I just dig. So some is like, yeah, we never worked like this before. So there's some kind of conservatism, maybe don't.
No, yeah. But I think that's also going back to what you commented on about sort of the way we shape the boards, the leadership teams, and so on. But to sort of try to conclude, because obviously talking about legacy technology, that was not very human-centric at all. It was the complete opposite. Yeah. To now sort of having the opportunity to look at Gen AI and the next generations of AI. So what should a CEO, a CFO, or a CXO do now to get ready for what's up next?
All right. So since really unleashing, the power of AI is, it's 2 steps ahead. So that means that we cannot step over kind of the next step that we have. So it is almost the adjacent next, but usually for us to move on, we need to kind of take a next step. So now I think the next really important, next adjacent step to doing is that, one, if you just use your imagination a little bit on, okay, what you think AI might do for us, I think a lot of light bulbs just pop up. It is very evident and obvious what's going to happen in a way. So knowing that this wave now is hitting us in 1 year, maybe, you know the wave is coming, even though you don't see it materialized yet, but it just comes up as a tsunami from the ocean.
Everyone who's been surfing knows that catching the wave is actually quite hard.
It is really hard, and it's very tiring. But in particular, so I got just a new image now in my mind, because if you think of a tsunami and you have the uphill underwater, when the AI really kind of hits, it will push the water and the wave will suddenly just come up. more difficult to serve, Point Break, but that's fine. But knowing that it's coming now, you have to actually go into a creative space together with people around you and find experts that are further ahead. And then you start to do scenarios, and building scenarios around this it's easier now than before because we have it. But go into that imagined future and try to play it out and do this kind of future backward exercises, and then do it with your tech teams and your IT teams. How do we get ready for what's coming, even though we don't fully see it, but we know it's really coming. So that kind of process, you have to do it.
Thank you so much for joining me on Tech Talks.